got 6 people. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get my mic good. Boop. Hi, who are you? And tell me where you're joining in from real quick. Who's here? Okay, hopefully you didn't hear that. Let me know if you did. Welcome to What Your Mother Should Have Taught You Live. That's what I'm going to call these live shows when I do them. What Your Mother Should Have Taught You Live. So, Dorothy's back. Welcome. How are you? It's great to see you. I want to get into it because I've been thinking about how much we've been miseducated, right? I'm so glad you're here too. Every day is a blessing. Every day is a blessing, you know? Remember, Dorothy, we used to have those 6 a.m. or I think it was 7 a.m. my time. No, 6 a.m. calls, prayer time. No, it must have been 7 a.m. prayer time calls weekly, like in 2020. And I remember Dorothy Eccles was on there. Yep. I remember that was in 2020, girl. We was praying, getting that word, celebrating. And that's actually a good segue and kind of helped me to remember why I wanted to share this with you in terms of just how we've been approaching life. Like, we've been miseducated. We have been miseducated. And I'm seeing so many women working on, making sure that they have something to bring to the table. And I really wonder if it's really working in your favor, right? Because my question to you that I really want to begin with, and I mentioned this yesterday, is who are you being strong and independent for? Who are you being strong and independent for? Years ago, I had gone to a workshop. I was doing an MLM. I think it was prepaid legal at the time, actually. I don't know. I think they might have changed over. But one of the things that in the seminar, it said, look at, if you want to be a success, look at what 90% of the population is doing and do the opposite. And I want to encourage you or say to you that when it comes to love and life, even dating especially, I think that it's good to have that kind of approach. Because what you see the mainstream doing and what you see common women doing is not going to work for you if I'm right about you, if you are an ambitious Christian woman who desires to have a lifelong or loving relationship, right? And even if you don't desire marriage, you still love and you desire a sense of love and belonging. So let me take your pulse for a moment. I'm kind of curious. If you feel like, if you're working to bring something to the table and working in terms of getting your money right, maybe a degree, if you've been there, just put in the chat box like I've been there, me included, right? I have been there, me included. And that's why I feel confident that I can tell you that operating in the way that we have been educated, as women have been educated as a society, is not working for us. And there are certain things that our mothers didn't tell us because they were of that generation that sort of created that sort of the cultural shift, right? I don't know if it's like feminism 2.0 and whatnot. I don't really get caught up in all the semantics of it, but I do know that there's some socioeconomic, political forces on this thing. And I do believe if you want men to step up to the plate, right, it's going to take us women as a collective coming together and getting in alignment because men simply respond to us. And what we're seeing right now is men are out of order. They not manning up. They not even you can go out, a man ain't saying nothing. All the dudes talking to each other. There used to be a time where men used to travel and go out of state and they had money and they had all the nice cars. I'm gonna get into what I got to say, but I remember a shift specifically growing up in the 90s in Detroit. And anytime I would see like a nice rider, you just knew it was a guy in there. Right, you knew it was a dude in there, but lately we see women coming out. We got the big body Benz, BM, everything, right? And I really see men doing the things that I saw men do growing up, like being in that role, making the money, driving nice cars, dressing well, traveling. Like, I'm not seeing that as much. Let me know if that's something that, okay, Dorothy, you picking up what I'm putting down. Thank you. If this is something that you're noticing, let me know too, because let me know if I'm off or if I'm just in my own world, because sometimes I wonder about that too. But I'm saying this because I hear you when you say, I want to work, I want to bring something to the table, right? One when I ask women, what's one thing that's stopping you right now from having the kind of love that you want? A lot of the applications that I'm seeing coming through the process, applications for access to the training how to meet a good man this month training. One of the things that I'm really seeing coming through the process is, I want to be financially secure first. And even if, and I get that. You have to, before you can go try and attract the man that you want and feeling like you can prepare for love, you got to make sure that you have a roof over your head, that your bills are paid, right? And that your body, like you are in good health, right? Once that is covered, it's time to take it up to the next level for that sense of love and belonging. And I know that when your bills are paid and you're ready to go, there's still this not enoughness. I got to get a degree, right? Part of that was for me too, like wanting to be in the upper echelon. But part of it was like, listen, I know that I need to make some more money. So I can get an MBA or go to law school, but I know that I need to position myself, put myself in a position to make more money. I chose to go to law school. I already knew that I wanted to build a business and have one on my own. I just never knew what I was going to sell until after law school. So I was very intentional in saying, you know what? I'm going to go to law school. I would ideally like to go to a school in these states because the type of man that I am attracted to would likely be in those places. But God sent me to St. Louis and I was like, okay, here I am. So for me, it was about positioning myself. And this is why it's so important, especially for modern women, not only to position yourself for the for like the career, the money, and making sure that you're set up financially, but also really positioning yourself to have the kind of love that you want. And I'm saying this because whether you're 18 or 88, the desires don't change. I used to work in long-term care when a lot of the residents that who lived in the facility where I was working, anytime their mind would kind of revert back, a lot of the women will revert back to some sort of romantic experience. And that was always interesting to me. Like, what is happening? Like, why? That's just really interesting. I'm like, hey, Miss Such and Such. And she's like, yeah, I'm waiting. I'm going on a date. I'm like, oh, really? And then I would talk to a daughter or something like that of the resident. And it's like, yeah, that's her old boyfriend before my dad, type situation. And that just always stuck with me. I don't know why. I believe it's because, like I said, whether you're 18 or 88, no matter where you are in life, the desires don't change. It's the natural flow and the natural order of life. And so, when it comes to preparing to have the thing that you want, when it comes to setting yourself up for love and feeling successful, money ain't the thing that you should be focused on. Money ain't the thing that you want to be bringing to the table. You want to make sure that you can make a contribution, right? If you have a plan, you meet a guy, right? And he's like, listen, I'm making this and I got this and that. Let's lay it all out. And if you like, I got this. And if you listen everything on your resume, you already at the bottom of the barrel in terms of being seen as dating material or wife material. Money ain't the thing. Your degrees ain't the thing. We already know this. Like, this is the talk of the town. This ain't nothing new. But I want to share and go a little bit deeper to kind of talk about really more of the consequences of that and what it's going to take for you to really create some internal shifts so that you can begin to really line yourself up for the love that you want and feel confident in your ability to sustain it. Because there's one thing to be like, oh, I get men. Men attract, like I attract all the men. That ain't my problem, girl. Well, why you not finding the kind that you want? How are you showing up in a way that's not really manifesting and bringing forth what you say that you deserve and what you say that you desire, and based on who you are? Something ain't lining up. Somewhere the system is off. Somewhere there's a broken link. And it's not necessarily about you, but it's about somewhere the process is failing you. Okay? So, I get it. You want to make the money because, you hear a lot of divorce. What causes divorce? Money, intimacy, communication. Like, those are the big, infidelity, like those are the big things that can cause divorce, right? And so I get it. You want to preempt it. Yes, trust me, I've been there. You want to preempt before it even starts, which is like good and bad. On one hand, you're projecting into the future. You're trying to create some controls, right? You're trying to, get some control in the situation. But on the other hand, it's too controlling. So it's going to require you to be able to relinquish some of that control. Women, we've been taught the wrong things, focusing on the education, getting the job. Great. That was a part of our mother's generation. And it is important for us to be able to sustain ourselves, right? I'm all about making the money, and I get a lot of validation from my own work. I get a lot of validation from it. But one of the things I noticed within myself is that, there was a point where I had made the most money in my life, but at what cost? I had made the most money in my life, but at what cost? About 5 years ago, and when I was pregnant with my eldest daughter, one of my videos went viral, and I had like an explosion in business. And it was so great. It was the thing that I wanted. And I really had tapped into the abundance of pregnancy and the abundance of giving birth, and just knew like, it's all coming. It's all coming. But at the same time, I had missed some of the major milestones and some major life moments because I was working, making this money, buying stuff, making sure that I was secure. That's what it was really about. Making sure that I was secure because a baby was on the way, and I was like, whoo, me and my husband are entrepreneurs. So, it's different. We don't have employer insurance, health insurance. So I had to make sure that I felt safe and secure. But at the same time, even after the baby was born, weeks are passing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this ain't it. That's where the question comes from. Monique, who you working so hard for? What you working so hard for? What you trying to be all independent and strong for and be like, I got to do this, I got it. For what? It is not bringing no profit. Monique, you are exhausted, you tired, and your man thinks that you can do it all anyway. So something's got to give. When you work so hard, let me say this. I never used to understand how women used to be like so into work. Maybe because I just never found my thing. When I was in the, post law school, I was in healthcare. So I was compliance and quality improvement in healthcare. I don't have no nursing degree. Like, I should not have been in that role. Before that, I was a high school English teacher, and that was more like me. But even so still, it just never felt like, I just never really felt committed. And when I got to law school, and I remember there were a few women, and one lady, she served on this NABOSO's National Black Law Students Association. And she was just like super powerful. And I was so impressed with her. And I really wanted to support her vision and her journey. And when I got into this organization, I was just like, wow, like, y'all really working hard. And I felt inadequate. Like, Monique, what's wrong with you? You ain't putting in the work. And I was like, dang, they so committed. They just working. I'm like, they got it. Right. Part of that is maybe, those women were really stepping into, women who wanted to practice law really were stepping into it and like going for their dreams because that's what they wanted. And somehow, somewhere along the childhood story, they're going for that thing. But for me, I couldn't. I was just like, I don't get this. I got to have I can't be in no cubicle. Because I had done Inroads program like my first year out of college, and I was working at Ford Motor Credit, and I was just like, this ain't it either. Like, I was making good money, but I was like, nah, this ain't it. I had seen my mother have a lot of flexibility in her work, and when growing up, it was me, my older brother, and my younger brother. When we were left home, and it was somebody trying to do some shady stuff. I couldn't do that because my brother would be like, nope, I got you hooked. So she just had flexibility to pop up at any time. And when you in high school and girls, you always hear stories about, girls, their first time because their mama was at work. That couldn't be me. That was never my story. That could not have happened. So I knew that as I'm thinking about my own future, my own life, I knew that that's something that I wanted for myself too. And I was like, okay, cool. I had the work experience, all the little internships, it wasn't working. As a high school English teacher, I think it was fun really working with the students. I missed working with the adults, but I did not see myself moving into an administrative role. Okay, great. 2008, the automotive industry is going down. All the schools, like people moving, teachers getting laid off. I was like, okay, boom, this is my time. I think I'm about to go to law school. And actually, I remember, I think I studied for the GMAT first. That's the MBA program. But when I realized, I was like, you know what? For the kind of business that I want to do, I don't need an MBA for that because I'm not trying to do big Fortune 500 type thing. My mother was also a business owner, and I was able to see her do it. And I'm sharing this with you because even during that time, I was thinking about, like, man, okay, all this is great and me advancing myself is great, but what about like marriage and relationships, right? It seemed like out of all my friends, I was the only one who was really like adamant about it. And I was the one who was clowned for it. I felt like the black sheep. And I was like, listen, I need to give me some new friends because y'all ain't on what I'm on right now. I got to get this thing in order before I can really feel like I'm advancing. And I wonder if you feel the same way too, where, even if you in your 40s and 50s and you feel like, what, there's so much that I still want to do, but I got to get this part of my life like situated and settled. I want to find and attract the kind of man that I want and build the love that I want so that I can do some things with my life, so that I can start really making advancements. And you feel like as a feminine woman, you can really have that structure and that system and that support under you. So to go back to what I was saying originally about women working, and I was so like mesmerized and curious about the women who were really putting in the work. Excuse me. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, I was really mesmerized by the women who were putting in the work. And I'm saying that because, when I realized and decided like this is what I want to do, I understood it. I understood the validation that work brings, like meaningful work brings. And, especially for me, I was like, listen, I got a law degree. People who are watching me, my family and friends who are skeptic, and they're like, what is Monique doing with her life? She got a law degree and she talking about, what is this feminine stuff that she talking about? What is she doing with her life? Girl, you got a law degree. What's up? What you gonna do with it? And so I'm saying this because I had a chip on my shoulder, right? I had something to prove, not only to myself, but to the family and friends who believed in me, but also watching kind of curiously, and maybe to give themselves permission to step into their own calling. But I felt proud, and I felt like I could give myself to work. And this is the key. I felt like I could give myself to the work because really when I went full time in my business, I was already married. We had just gotten married 3 months earlier, and I had gotten laid off. So we got married in September. Come January 1 of the next year, I had no more secure employment. And because of that, because I'm in a covenant marriage, that means that we in this together. I'm saying this because when you focus on bringing the right thing to the table in terms of finances and education, and you do that to the detriment of your love life, you do that to the detriment of the intimacy and relationships that just the natural flow of life, you should be building that up. It should really come first. It becomes out of order. You put yourself like outside of the dating pool. You begin to attract men who are the yes men, who are the men that you really don't want, and who are not the men who can really even handle a woman like you anyway, as an ambitious Christian woman. You've heard me talk about this, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Let me look that up right quick so I know it. Boom. Yes. So at the base layer, this is something I learned about in college, and maybe you have too. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs is at the base level is physiological. Food, shelter, water, bodily excretions, even in the form of tears. Tears are a chemical release that's necessary. After that, it's a sense of safety. Next, so you got to breathe, right? You need food, water, sleep, homeostasis, excretion. After that, next level is safety. So security of your body, security of employment, resources, security in your family. The family is secure and healthy if you have kids or whatnot, but just making sure that you're safe. It's a sense of safety. That's what I mean. And then the third thing, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 levels. There's 6 levels. The third thing is love and belonging. This is the key. After love and belonging, it becomes, okay, now I can work on my self-esteem. So self-esteem, achievement, respect, and the final one is self-actualization. So that becomes morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and just really acceptance, coming into acceptance. I'm sharing this with you because if you continue in the way that you've been taught, and you continue with what 90% of the population has doing, if you continue in the way that we have been miseducated, you are, and you still want a lifelong loving relationship, you got to focus on this now. Because if not, what's happening is that you are, again, it's almost like you're operating out of the natural flow and the order of life. And when you're trying to jump back in, it's going to be a lot harder. And if you continue on the same path, as you continue to work and have success and make the money, and you might have to do it for different reasons now. Maybe you have an aging parent that you have to care for. But what I want to share with you is that continuing in that path will actually yield the opposite result. It's not going to attract the kind of man that you want. You're going to be seen as too. Ain't nobody in dating pool to really pull from, right? Unless you want to be the sophisticated, honey. No more cougar unless you want to be the sophisticated, okay? Listen, the best time for you to begin preparing yourself for the kind of love that you want. Hey, how was? The best time for you to prepare, to have begun preparing yourself for the kind of love that you want was years ago, last year, years ago, even years before that. The next best time is today. The next best time is today, like now. Faith is now. This is the day that the Lord has made. So rather than being like, oh, like, I don't even know if it's possible for me, like, but, and feeling like, and just struggling just to impress somebody, and you're not even just like working to feel like I got to get myself in order in this way, when as long as your basic needs are met, your safety needs are met, then you're good. It's time to really reinvest and refocus on you. Now is the season for that. This is why in the Attract the Man You Want program, we talk about, and in the process that I created, the Feminine Influence Path to Love and Life, how to move powerfully. Because if you have been living your life and you haven't had anything real ever or in a long time, if you in your 50s and you've never been engaged or proposed to, never had a man do for you, like provide for you in any kind of way, it is really uncomfortable and unfamiliar to have a man do those things for you. You're going to sabotage before you even give yourself a chance to succeed. That's just how that's just human behavior. And so that's why it's so important to prepare yourself to have the thing that you want. Don't just step into it. You ain't do that for work. No, you went to school, you got a degree, you do continuing education, right? So many women think that love is just supposed to happen. Like, I don't really see a purpose in investing in this. Like, it's just supposed to happen. There's value in feeling protected. There is value in having a person to call your own. There is value in, even just feeling confident in your own ability to have the kind of man that you want. There's value in showing up in a place and feeling like the most attractive woman in the room. Even though, what's the song? I made you look, and even with my hoodie on, I made you look. Like, you can still bring about, like, still feel like a desired woman, barring any sort of sexual trauma, right? There's value in having the love that you want, like being successful in one part of your identity as a working woman, as a modern woman, but also just as a woman, right? We have so many identities as women, so many boxes that we want to check and things that we want to fit into. But I want to encourage you not to bypass or put more into work, put more into empty pursuits like spending money and shopping and these sort of toxic behaviors, or even food and eating, because you want a little sweetness in your life. These are some of the things, these are the sense of safety and the things that we talk about. I've been improving my own training, girl. So this is what we talk about and what we do within the Attract the Man You Want program. We start January 24th. So not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that. And don't be asking, how long before I can get enrolled? Get enrolled now. I think a better question is, what do you need to do so that you can get enrolled now? Because once you do, we're going to have a meet and greet. And it's going to be so fun. You're going to get your orientation, right? To understand how you can begin to prepare, what it's going to take, like how you could begin to plan for how you want to show up in your own alluring energy. And get some support along the way. Because that's also super important with women being in the company of other women who are like-minded, on the same trajectory, and feeling confident in their ability to attract the man they want. And go out, have that man ask you out and go out on some dates and feel confident on those dates. Okay, so with that being said, you can go to the description box. I have more information. You can go there and get the process started. I have a complimentary training called how to meet a good man this month. And if you've already seen that, and if you are familiar with me and you know that enrollment is open and you want to work with me in this way and you want to prepare yourself for the love that you want, remember, these aren't just love skills, these are life skills. I am shifting and training the way that hopefully that feminine influence becomes a part of your nature that can ultimately shift the ways that you live and how you love. Because another thing that I wanted to say I didn't get to, and I don't see it here in my notes, but just about the way that I see relationships is I see relationships as a form of self-expression. You have so much love to give, right? And like, I wonder, because this is my issue, I wonder if it eats away at you. Like, let me see if I can come up with an example. And I'm really trying to think if this is TMI. Yeah. I don't know. I better leave that alone. I'm just trying to think of, let me know. Let me hear from you. Let me know when, I don't know, Valentine's Day is about to approach. Valentine's Day is coming, and maybe you can be like, that's just a commercial holiday. But do you get upset when you don't have anybody to share it with? And not because there's nobody there, but because you want to express your love. Like, you want to give to someone and there's nobody there to receive it. Thank you. I wonder, like, does that bother you? Because that would bother me. And so, what happens? Maybe you get a plant, you get a puppy, you have a baby with the man it's a dead end story just so you can have someone to love on. Listen, now is your time. This is no time for condemnation. I want to let you know that in Attract the Man You Want is a relationship readiness program. We're going to focus on the subtle shifts, the mental shifts, and the practical skills to line yourself up for love, to get ready for the thing that you want. All right? So that at the end of it, you're gonna know where to find the men that you want. What to say to them, like how to spot those red flags, how to be able to send out the right signals to have a man approach you. What do you actually say on those dates, right? And all the internal work, the spiritual work, and the energetic work that's required along the way for you to step into this. And then watch the beautiful things begin to unfold around you. All right, love? So that's it. That's all I have to say for today. I'm going to be here again tomorrow at the same time, God willing. Let me see if I have any comments and questions that I can address. Yeah, she said, I want to express my love. Hey, Megan. Yeah, okay. I see the same names popping up. I'm showing a good amount of people here. Thank you for your time, everybody. Okay, that's it. So that's it. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And if this served you, do me a favor, go ahead and just share with one woman that you know who could really maybe benefit and find this information useful. Because when you share, you add value. All right, signing off. Take care. God bless. Bye.